We love stories about chosen ones, about destiny, about people who were meant to be great. But most of us aren't chosen. Most of us don't get prophecies or glowing swords. And yet, the world keeps turning. Samwise Gamgee was not destined for greatness. He wasn't special. He wasn't powerful. He didn't even believe he belonged on that journey. But without Sam, Middle Earth crumbles. Welcome back, fellow mages, to the Grounded Mage, where we explore how myth and magic exist in everyday life. If you're coming back, welcome back. If you have never been here before, welcome to the Grounded Mage. This is a channel where we talk about your favorite stories and your favorite characters, and we ground them in a little bit of psychology and a little bit of personal stories to help you feel more connected to them and help you use them to become your own hero in your journey. I am so excited for this season. We are starting with an arc of unsung heroes or late bloomers, and I think it's a very special place to start. These characters always tend to be my favorite in stories. I don't always love the character that is the chosen one. They're often not my favorite character. So I love talking about the people who helped make these stories happen, because without these characters that we're going to talk about over the next few weeks, the hero doesn't win. And today, we are talking about one of the most beloved ones, Samwise Gamgee. Let's get into it. Chosen One stories don't just entertain us, they organize our expectations. They quietly teach us that meaning is something you're identified for, not something you grow into. If you were truly important, you would have a calling, a sign, a moment that says, it's you. Sam never gets that moment. Psychologist Erik Erikson argued that adulthood isn't about identity discovery, it's about generativity versus stagnation. Generativity meaning making commitments to other people, creating relationships with family, mentoring others, and contributing to the next generation. Stagnation means failing to get involved with others, making no effort to improve yourself, placing your own concerns above everything else, taking no interest in productivity, and being self centered. In other words, do you invest yourself in something that continues beyond you, even if no one claps for you? Or do you stay exactly as you are without looking for ways to make yourself and the world around you better? Sam doesn't believe he matters. He believes the work matters. He wants to contribute to generativity. He wants to make things better for the people around him. You can look at it like this. If you don't see yourself as the point, then you're free to serve the point. And that's deeply unglamorous and deeply stabilizing. Have you ever assumed your life would feel more meaningful if someone had just picked you? Tell me, where did you learn that expectation? I actually have a personal story that relates to this question. Um, I have a very interesting outlook on this. I grew up in a household where I was both expected to achieve greatness, but also not expected to achieve much. And that sounds conflicting and contradictory. And believe me, growing up, it was very confusing. I don't come from money, and I knew from very young that we were poor. So I also grew up with a single mother who did everything and wore every hat. Kudos to her for not giving up on myself or my brother. Um, but I was always expected to go to post secondary, college, university. Even though we had no money, like I had to borrow from the government, still paying the government back. Um, but there were people in my family who also expected me to fail on that journey. And I pushed through 5 years of post secondary, right? 4 years of an undergrad, 1 year getting my teaching degree. And I graduated with honors. And I worked my butt off to get those grades and to get through that experience. Um, all while reading stories where heroes had greatness thrust upon them, wishing that that had have been me. Um, why did I have to work so hard? Why do some people get everything handed to them while the rest of us have to work hard every single day just to achieve a fraction of what they have? But what's the other side of that? I'm actually glad I had to work that hard. It taught me the value of time and money. It makes the things I have now feel earned rather than expected. And I know I would have been a very different person, probably not even for the better if I had just been picked to be great and amazing. It would have been easier. I would have achieved a lot more a lot younger, but that might not have been as meaningful, right? That's a question for the universe, but let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Okay, back to Sam. And a topic that we all struggle with at some point in our lives, self-doubt. Sam doesn't follow Frodo because he's confident. He follows Frodo because he's attached. And this is where John Bowlby's attachment theory reframes Sam completely. Secure attachment isn't loud. It doesn't look like bravery. It looks like staying nearby, monitoring emotional states, and responding rather than leading. Sam constantly worries that he's in the way. He apologizes for existing. He assumes others are more deserving. And that's not a weakness, that's a hyper awareness of relational risk. Sam knows emotionally that Frodo could collapse if he's left alone. So Sam regulates himself to help Frodo regulate. In modern psychology, we call this co-regulation. Sam's courage isn't fearfulness. It's choosing connection while being afraid. Do you relate more to Frodo's burden, having something thrust onto you that you weren't ready for, but you have no choice but to complete? Or Sam's watchfulness? Which role do you usually fall into? Let me know in a comment. Sam is constantly underestimated by others and by himself. Psychologist Hazel Marcus showed that we operate with self schemas, internal narratives about who we are allowed to be. Sam's schema is simple: I'm not the hero. So when he shows courage, he explains it away. When he succeeds, he attributes it to luck or duty. Think about when he jumps into the river after Frodo. The Fellowship has broken up, but he is still committed to helping Frodo on his journey. Sam can't even swim, but he's willing to risk that in order to fulfill what he believes is his duty. Or when he fights Shelob, the giant spider, he uses the Phial of Galadriel to fight off the monster without a second thought. And he still puts this off as simply a desperate attempt to save his friend. When the orcs saw the scene afterward, they were convinced that a very brave and skilled elven warrior could be the only one to cause such destruction. Sam never claims this description. Or think about him entering Mordor all by himself. Frodo is taken by the orcs and Sam followed him into enemy territory. He doesn't think about the global war or what it could mean for his own safety. He just knew that Frodo needed him. And that's what fueled his bravery, which he would never admit was actual bravery. Arguably, his biggest act of courage was resisting the temptation of the ring. When he puts it on because he believes Frodo is dead, it shows him a vision. The ring showed Samwise visions of great power, tempting him to become Samwise the Strong, a hero who would overthrow Sauron, turn Mordor into a beautiful garden, and command armies, appearing to him as a glorious vision of himself, leading forces to victory. He very quickly rejects this idea, though, believing it a foolish vision, a distraction from his duty. His loyalty to Frodo also plays a big part in his willingness to give the ring back. This shows incredible mental strength on his part. Most people would be consumed by the ring's pull, but not Sam. He is committed to his duty, and his humble focus on getting home allows him to resist that temptation. Modern culture rewards people who claim identity early, but research on nonlinear identity development, especially by Herminia Ibarra, shows that the most stable identities emerge through repetition, proximity to meaningful work, and trying before believing. Sam doesn't believe in himself first. He acts first. That's not backwards. That's how real confidence is built. Here's the anxiety most people won't admit. What if I missed the moment I was supposed to become someone? As someone who is well into life at this point and feeling a little stuck, I ask this question quite often to myself. But developmental psychologist Daniel Levinson found that adult life unfolds in eras, not epiphanies. Many people don't consolidate purpose until midlife or even later. You go through many stages of reevaluation and changing your commitments. It's normal and it's okay to do that. Sam never has a grand awakening. He simply keeps going long enough to become indispensable. And if that feels painfully familiar, good. It means you're human. An act of bravery I didn't mention earlier was when Sam carried Frodo up Mount Doom. It's arguably his most iconic moment, and he presents it with simple words. I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. This statement minimizes the near impossible physical and emotional strength that this task requires. In this moment, Sam is articulating a psychological truth. There's research on something called communal coping, and it shows that overwhelming stress becomes survivable only when burdens are shared. Sam doesn't remove Frodo's suffering. He prevents Frodo from being alone with his suffering. And this is the opposite of modern hustle culture. We're told to be self-sufficient, but psychology keeps proving that interdependence is the real survival trait. The Harvard Study of Adult Development, a study which followed individuals for decades, found that close relationships and social connections are the single most important predictor of long-term physical health and happiness. Strong, interdependent relationships act as a buffer against chronic stress and mental health issues like depression and anxiety. Interdependent relationships foster emotional intimacy because partners feel safe enough to be vulnerable, express their needs, and rely on each other without fear of judgment or abandonment. This cycle of giving and receiving strengthens the emotional bond. Think about this. I lived in South Korea for a few months years ago. I think it's been like 8 years since I've lived there. There are some places there that actually will not serve you food if you are alone. This is definitely partially due to the types of restaurants they have. Many of them are just geared towards serving large groups of people. But the other side of it is South Korea is a collective society, and some people still believe that dining alone is bad luck. There is a feeling of togetherness that eating together brings, and they really support that over there. It's a country that encourages codependence. The population of South Korea as a whole lives longer than many other countries that don't practice collectiveness. Being together and depending on one another is helpful for our mental and physical well-being. So Sam wins not because he's stronger, but because he refuses isolation. This podcast, this channel, isn't about transcending humanity. It's about inhabiting it fully. Psychologist Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset often gets simplified to try harder. But at its core, it's about remaining teachable. There are two types of mindsets: fixed and growth. In a fixed mindset, you believe that your skills and abilities are, well, fixed, stuck in place with no way to improve them or learn new ones. But with a growth mindset, you have the power of yet. You believe that just because you can't do it now doesn't mean you won't be able to do it later. You just have to keep trying. It's something we promote heavily in schools right now. Sam is endlessly teachable. He learns by proximity, he grows through repetition, he becomes heroic by sticking around. That kind of magic doesn't sparkle, it stabilizes. Some people even find that they learn more as they get older than they do while they're in school or in their early adulthood. Science shows us that we can learn and grow well into our 90s if we want to. Where in your life are you quietly becoming more capable without recognition? Tell me in the comment section, because that's where your magic is forming. Sam doesn't become king. He doesn't seek legacy. He returns, he gardens, he raises a family. Tolkien himself said that Sam was the true hero of this story. Like I said at the beginning, without Sam, Middle Earth crumbles. Frodo cannot complete his mission without him. If you have ever felt invisible, if you have ever felt late, if you've ever felt ordinary, you're in good company. The majority of us are right there with you. The world doesn't fall apart from a lack of heroes. It falls apart when there aren't enough people willing to carry one another. Thanks for listening. If this episode resonated, let me know. Liking, commenting, or sharing genuinely helps this work reach the people who need it. And tell me, what kind of heroism do you think we're starving for right now? Next week, we dive into another character that is super underrated and another one that I absolutely adore, Neville Longbottom. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that one. Until next week, fellow mages, make it make magic.